If your brakes aren't cutting it on your mid-2015 through 2024 Toyota 4Runner and you're in search of a full replacement to drastically increase the stopping performance on your off-road adventures or just day-to-day, this PowerStop Z36 Extreme Truck and Tow Brake Rotor Pad and Caliper Kit for the front and rear is a great set to consider. Now this Z36 Truck and Tow series is specifically tailored to offer the 4Runner owner that extra bite to your braking system that you may need if your build is on the heavier side because of larger wheels and tires, heavier armor, added cargo, or all of the above. Now, while it will give you the benefit of better stopping power, whether you're just tough on your 4Runner day-to-day or you need the extra confidence when you're taking your build off-road, you are going to get that out of this set, and of course, the sporty look with the caliper replacement with the red coating on top. Now, it's also a complete kit if you want a no questions asked way to completely refresh all of the components in your braking system. Now this kit features a list of benefits in the realm of braking performance, including noise-free stopping thanks to the dual rubberized shims on the back of the pad, so you have really no annoyance when you're driving, even at a higher performance or with a higher performance pad that are known to be a little noisier. Now the included pads will also keep your wheels cleaner with less brake dust than stock, which is an added bonus, so you're not going to be constantly cleaning your wheels. Now these pads are also designed to keep a little cooler thanks to the stainless steel shims on the back, but the big cooling factor here is the front and rear drilled and slotted G3000 rotors. Now those machined details on the front as well as the veining in the middle will help channel air in to keep it cool on the surface of the rotor, and it's also going to keep it clean for efficient and optimal braking, especially under load. Last but not least, the calipers will be a single piston system for the rear and a dual for the front, very similar to factory, yet these are going to maximize fluid flow for responsive braking and will elevate the look behind the wheel with the red appearance. Now the 4 calipers in the kit also have a cast iron construction, the bright red powder coat that you can't miss that's also going to protect that iron from rust and make them easy to clean, and on the inside these have EPDM rubber seals to extend the lifespan even in high temperatures and more extreme conditions as this kit is built for. Now this kit also comes with all stainless steel hardware for good durability and rust resistance, as well as the grease for a question-free install. This kit comes in at about $1,500, which will put this at a higher price point, but it's warranted for what's included. Now, when taking a look at other performance brake options, this includes everything that you need for the front and back to gain that extra stopping power, and also a refresh of the braking system as a whole on all 4 corners if you want to take care of it all in one shot. Now, I think if your 4Runner isn't in need of a big brake kit, but you still want a major improvement in a solid and fully inclusive kit, then this is a great choice to consider. Installing this is a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and will probably take about 3 hours to get the job done. Now, while it's not necessary, if you have noticed that your brake lines are in need of some attention while replacing the calipers, we do have full sets available on the site for replacement brake lines that are tailored to whatever lift height that you may have. So just keep that in mind when you are going to install these. I also do recommend to have a friend on hand to help you bleed the brakes when you're installing your new calipers, or just to pick up a bleeder tool to get the job done if it's just you doing it. Now, at this point though, I am going to hand it over to one of our installers here. They're gonna show you a detailed breakdown on how you can get all of this onto your 4Runner at home. So that wraps it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and get into the install. Tools
required for this install include impact gun, an electric and hand ratchet, needle nose pliers, hose clamp, Phillips head screwdriver, 10mm line wrench, 14mm wrench, an extension, 12, 17, and 19mm swivel sockets, 14 and 17mm sockets, and some brake clean. What's up guys? Today we're installing brakes on our 4Runner, so let's get started. So our first step is to remove our brake pads from our caliper. We have a couple clips that we'll have to remove. We can slide out our 2 pins and then remove our pads. So first we can pop out this clip that's connected to our 2 pins. So we'll just push down on that and pop that out of the hole, and then we can slide that out of place, and then we can push forward on our pins to slide those out. And then we'll remove our second clip. Next, we can remove our two pads. Now these are a little stiff in there, so I'm just going to use a screwdriver in these two holes and just pry it back and forth to slide our pad out. And we'll do that same thing for our other pad. Next, we can remove our two caliper bolts. So I'm going to grab a 19mm swivel socket to take these out. Now I'm going to leave this one in until we get our caliper hanger so we can hang this up and not put any pressure on our brake line. Next, we're going to remove this 12mm bolt that holds our brake line bracket in. We'll grab our 12mm socket to take that out. And we can pop that out of place. Next, we can fully remove that last bolt that's holding in our caliper and use a caliper hanger or bungee cords to hang our caliper up. Now I'm just going to hook this to the spring and then remove our bolt. And then with our bolt removed, we can remove our caliper. So next we can remove our rotor. Now you have a couple options here. If your rotor just pulls right off, then great, you're lucky. If not, you can tap around the rotor with a rubber mallet since we are going to be replacing our rotors. Or since we have a threaded hole here, I'm going to be using an M8 by 1.25 bolt that we can thread in. And then we'll just take a 13mm socket on a ratchet to tighten that down, and that'll push the rotor away from the hub. And then once you get that to pop, you can pull your rotor the rest of the way off. So now moving on to the rear, we can remove our two slide bolts, remove our clamshell, and then use a caliper hanger to hang that up out of the way. So now I'm gonna grab our caliper hanger and just throw that on the spring for now. And then we'll take a 17mm socket to remove our two bolts. And then with our two bolts removed, we can wiggle our clamshell off and then hang that onto our caliper hook. Next, we can remove our caliper bracket with our brake pads all in one. So we'll take a 17mm swivel socket to remove our two bracket bolts. Next, we can remove our rotor. We're going to do this the same way we did the front. I've got our M8 by 1.25 bolt that we can thread into our rotor. And then we'll take a 13mm socket to tighten that down. And then once our rotor pops free, we can remove it. So now that we have everything removed that we need to, I'm going to get our rear caliper assembled. Our front one we can just slap on and then throw in our pads, so we don't have to worry about that one. So I'm going to take a 17mm socket to remove one of our slide bolts so that we can open up the clamshell part of the caliper, and then we'll put in our clips, our pads, and our wear indicator. Now from that we can see that our slide pins are already lubed, so we're not going to need to do that. Once you have this open, you can start installing your clips. Now with all of our clips in place, we're gonna take our packet of lube included in the kit, and then just get some on your finger and just put a thin coat onto all of the clips. Now for the pad that's going to go on the inside of the caliper, we need to install our wear indicator. So this part is just going to clip onto the ear of the pad. You want the straight edge pointed towards where the rotor is going to sit. So just pop that clip on, and then you can slide that into your clips. And then the one on the opposite side of the rotor can just be popped in. No one doesn't need a wear indicator. So pop those in. I'm just gonna get a thin coat of grease on the back of the pads. And then we can close up our caliper. You might need to push your pads in a little bit further. And then you can grab your slide pin and get that into place. I'll make sure that your boot's straightened out here. Take your 17mm socket, tighten it down. And then if this boot doesn't pop over that little ring on the bolt, you just need to push it up against it to pop it into place. Once you got that done for one caliper, do the same thing for your other. So now we need to take some brake cleaner and a clean microfiber towel and wipe down the surface of our rotor. I've got it backwards on the hub first so we can get that inner side, and then we'll flip it around, put it on the right way, and get the outer side. We're slide on. I'm going to throw a lug nut on here just to hold it up against the hub. And then we'll clean that outer side. So now we're going to take our new caliper and slide it over the rotor. And then we're just going to be reinstalling our two factory bolts. Then you can grab your 17mm swivel socket, tighten that down. Now we need to swap our brake line over from our stock caliper to our new one. We've got a 14mm banjo bolt, so I'm gonna get a 14mm socket on that. Now before I do that, I'm gonna pinch off this soft line here so that we don't lose a ton of fluid. Now they make plastic hose clamp pliers that you can use. If you don't have those, you can take some vacuum line, put it on some vice grips. It'll pinch it, but it's not going to crush it. So get that on there, and then we'll grab that 14, undo our banjo bolt. I've got a drain pan here to catch everything. We shouldn't have much coming out of our line, but we're going to have a lot coming out of our caliper. I'm just going to take it off the caliper hook now. And now we're going to remove our banjo bolt, and we're going to grab some crush washers to put on here before we bolt it up to our new caliper. So now I'm going to take a crush washer and slide that onto my banjo bolt. I'm going to put the banjo bolt through the fitting, and then I'm going to put another crush washer on the other side, and then I'm going to thread it into my caliper. And now we don't quite have enough room to get a socket in there, so I'm going to grab a 14mm wrench to snug that down. And you want to tighten it enough so that those copper crush washers crush and make that seal. Once you've got that in, you can remove the clamp on your soft line. So now on the front, I've got my rotor backwards on the hub so I can clean it. Spray it down with some brake clean, grab a clean microfiber towel, wipe down the surface. Flip it around. And get a lug nut to hold the rotor flat. And then we'll get this side. Now we can slide our new caliper over the rotor, thread in our 2 factory bolts. And then I'm going to grab a 19mm swivel socket and tighten those down. Now we can slide in our pads. Now one of them has a wear indicator. You want the wear indicator to be on the inside and at the bottom. So that's going in on this side. And then the one without a wear indicator will go on the outside. Then you can grab your pins, slide those through the front, through the hole in the pads. Getting a little ahead of ourselves down here. We've got this clip that we've got to pass through here. And then these tabs are going to clip into the holes in the pads here. This part's going to be on the outside. You use a pair of needle nose pliers for this as well. And then we've got our clip that connects our 2 pins. You've got a hole in each of those pins. So rotate that until it lines up. Stick it through. Do the same on the other one. And then the center part's gonna go through the hole in the caliper. So now we just need to swap over our brake line. So I'm gonna go up to the soft line portion here. I've got kind of like a custom set of hose clamp pliers. We just got some vacuum line on here so that we're not biting into the soft line with the jaws. So just pinch that down. And then I've got a 10mm line wrench that I'm using to undo our brake line. Now I'm going to pop my caliper off the hook. Now I'm going to start threading in that fitting into my new caliper. And now we can go back with our line wrench and tighten that down. Now we can pop that clamp off of our soft line. And the last thing we need to do is just pop our brake line bracket back into place. And then just make sure this tab's going into that hole. And then you can take a 12mm socket and tighten it down. So now that we've got all of our brakes installed, we're gonna go ahead and bleed them. Now you're gonna wanna start with the one furthest away from the master cylinder, which is gonna be the passenger rear. Then you're gonna come driver rear, passenger front, driver front. Now one thing to note before we bleed the brakes is on the rears, you are gonna have to have the key on inside the car to activate the ABS in order to bleed the rear calipers. For the front, it doesn't matter. So we've already got the passenger rear done. I'm moving on to the driver rear here. So I'm gonna pop this cap off of our bleeder. And now I've got a buddy in the car. He's gonna be pressing the brakes. I'm gonna tell him to press the brakes. He's gonna hold it down. While he's holding, I'm gonna crack open the bleeder valve and then I'm gonna close it. Once it's closed, he's gonna take his foot off the brake and we're just gonna repeat that until we have a steady stream of fluid. I've got a bucket underneath here to catch all the fluid. So you can go ahead and pump up the brakes. Again. Again. Pump it up. One more time. And that right there is a steady stream of fluid. So I'm going to tighten down my bleeder valve, put my cap back on, and we'll move on to our next caliper. Repeat that same process for the fronts. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the PowerStop Z36 Extreme Truck and Tow Brake Rotor Pad and Caliper Kit for the front and rear of your 2015 to 24 4Runner. Thank you for watching, and for all things 4Runner, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.